What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you come into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on the Golden State Warriors and the matchup they got coming up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, as you know, last night Golden State they beat the Rockets, right? And so now, after they beat the Rockets, and then next up is the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, but before I start to talk about that matchup, right, and what I think is going to happen in that matchup, I wanna listen to some statements that Steve Kerr made after their win last night. And I thought that this is just like the mindset that his comments just point out the mindset of a championship type basketball team.
Championship result right there. That was an incredible performance. I mean, game plan discipline to a T, 48 minutes, toughness, grit. That's why you guys have hung banners and you new guys, you're learning from these guys. Let's keep this thing rolling.
All right, so he said about their performance against the Houston Rockets. Steve Kerr said that is the way they played against the Houston Rockets. That's championship ball. You had role players for the Golden State Warriors who stepped up when they needed it. Buddy Hield, he stepped up. I keep forgetting the redhead kid name. I'm gonna write his name down, but that redhead kid, I can't. The guy, man, he stepped up and he hit some big buckets. Then you saw the Golden State Warriors, their veterans, play with confidence and resolve. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, and from the coaching staff on down, all of that confidence just went through those younger guys, and you just saw those younger guys perform. They had to really get it done yesterday in order to Golden State to be able to advance and to be in a position to go up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And so that statement right there by Steve Kerr, like the older guys getting it done, showing the younger guys how to get it done, and then the younger guys step in and get it done when we need it. And so that I thought that was big, right? And not only is that mindset benefited them through this first series, and then it will spill over into the second series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? And so now Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley has some things to say about this next matchup that's coming along with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I want to play that too because I thought they made some good points, man, and I think it's going to be another good series. To be honest with you, hold up. Let me see something. All right, let me see if I can get this statement right here. When Kenny Smith is talking about, well, when they're giving their comments, let me see where we at right now.
But now that Jimmy Butler is there, that's a different scenario. So I don't think he has the luxury to say, I'm going to try to put the fire out on Steph, who actually is averaging, you saw 29 points a game against them anyway. So he's probably going to have to guard Jimmy Butler. And then there's a cross matchup with Jaden McDaniels and or Michael Conley, which will not guard Jimmy Butler. So I think the Warriors actually have a matchup advantage in this series offensively, and they're going to be harder to guard than Minnesota for some reason.
I'm going to take Minnesota. I think Minnesota's playing really, really well right now. Ant is a hell of a player. His confidence is sky high. I think the interesting matchup is how often they're going to play small. Because if they put Rudy out there, they're going to attack him in the pick and roll. And that's just going to open up spots everywhere. If he's going to try to stay in front of Steph, which he can't, he would have to double. So that's going to be Minnesota's going to have to go small a lot. If they're
All right, so I want to speak on that, right? Because what Kenny Smith said was you kind of like Minnesota is caught in between, like, what do you do with Steph Curry? Minnesota really don't have a lot that they can like throw at Steph Curry. If you try to put Ant-Man on him, then like Kenny Smith said, you put Ant-Man on Steph Curry. Then you got Jimmy Butler who's going to show himself. You know what I mean? Jimmy Butler going to show off because now they don't have nobody to stop Jimmy Butler or slow Jimmy Butler down because he's physical and he got the mid-range game, and you need somebody on Jimmy Butler who can at least match him, like, in strength wise and athleticism wise, right? And so that's Anthony Edwards. So that right there is like something that Minnesota's going to have to figure out. Then you have a situation where Rudy, like, what do you do with Rudy Gobert? Like, who does Rudy play? Rudy he's not going to be able to stay in front of Jimmy Butler, and he definitely not going to be able to stay in front of Steph Curry. Like, when they run those picks, those those high screen and rolls, and Rudy Gobert gets caught up on Steph Curry, he's gonna be at Steph's mercy. Because Steph can shoot for so far out, he can back up off of him and shoot over him. A 7-footer, he's done that plenty of times against 7-footers. He's gonna be able to shoot over him, or he's gonna be able to go around him. He's going downhill, and Rudy not gonna be able to stop that. So now Charles Barkley said that Minnesota's going to have to play small and a lot. And so if you Minnesota and you play, I'm telling y'all before this series starts, if Minnesota plays small a lot, that again is playing into Golden State. You play into Golden State's hands because Golden State is a small team anyway. So they're used to playing like that. They're used to playing that small ball, and they have guys like Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green who get physical at times when they need it. So they're used to playing that small ball. So it's going to be tough. I think this series for Golden State will be easier for Golden State than the Houston Rockets series. And I know that Minnesota Minnesota's not ranked higher than Houston was. But I think this series right here, still, I think will be an easier series for Golden State than that Houston Rockets. Because Houston had so much more length, they had athleticism, and they had that youth on their side. Now, Minnesota is not as young. You got Gobert, who has been in the league for a good while. Anthony Edwards, he pretty young, but other than that, they don't have. I don't think they got enough firepower, I think, to throw at Golden State. Not that I think that Golden State is going to be easy for Golden State to get past Minnesota, but I think Minnesota will be easier to figure out from an offensive and a defensive standpoint. And so now who's going to play Anthony Edwards on the other end? I think it'll be mixed up. The thing about Anthony Edwards, like, you could take certain things away from him, just allow Anthony Edwards to be one-dimensional, right? Don't let him like score 30 points and get like 8 assists or 7 assists, something like that, and a bunch of rebounds. You don't want him to do that. You want him to be one-dimensional. If he's going to be a scorer, let him be a scorer. That's really, I think with them, you really got to be, make Anthony Edwards one-dimensional. And I don't know. I just think this series right here for Golden State is just going to be a easier series. I think if they manage to get past Minnesota, That's when the real work is going to have to be. It's going to be with OKC and Denver. Denver is playing out of their mind. OKC have been playing out of their mind since day one. So that's when the real work come in. But again, I picked Golden State to come out of the West anyway. So I'm looking for them to get past Minnesota. I knew they kind of scared me when they went to Game 7 because Game 7 was in Houston. And you got, you don't know what's going to happen with these young athletic kids, man. They could turn up one night, and it just so happened that they didn't. But yeah, man, I still like Golden State to come out of the West. I know that if they get past Minnesota, that next one is going to be whether it's Denver or it's OKC. That's going to be tough. But yeah, man, I think this matchup right here is better for Golden State. And so I hope they take advantage of their of the things that they can beat Minnesota at, and then they just move on. But that's my take on it. I just wanted to speak a little bit about this series that's coming up. And so as this series go along, I'll be I want to give more commentary on it. But yeah, man, this gonna be a good series. Like I said, that's my take. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, with that being said, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this series. Do you like Golden State or do you like Minnesota? And why you like Golden State or why you like Minnesota? And yeah, I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.